Pedersen Show.
Got you. Hey, you're the Al Michaels of Canada. How about that? Because I read his book, and he goes, I live in L.A., but I'm a New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker, even though I live in L.A. You're a Winnipegger living in Toronto, and our Winnipeg viewers want your take on the Winnipeg Jets.
Now
History-making Winnipeg Jets.
There is a team that is rolling. The only thing I'm going to say is that you don't want to be the best team in December. It's good to be the best team right now. You know, you don't want to be the best team late November, early December. You want to be the best team in April. So you can't get hurt. They're playing great. I've known Scott Arniel since Scott Arniel broke into the NHL with Dale Howard-Chuck way back when they were World Junior teammates and junior teammates. And, you know, great winger at the time, has become a great assistant coach through the years, takes over there. I think he's got them playing believable hockey. Everybody believes in what they're doing. They're tight. They're sound defensively. They've got the best goalie in the world right now. That is also undeniable. I don't think anybody saw 14-1 coming, but it's hard to bet against them. Now, having said that, they're in New York tonight, right? And they got a tough little part of their schedule here, and so they've got some litmus tests coming. Not that any other game is a gimme, but you know, let's talk again closer to Christmas time when those dog days kind of set in. Will they only have one loss by then? I hardly think so, but I think right now, somebody last week, RP, there was some sort of power ranking in the NHL, and they actually had the Jets second. How can you have the Jets second? Like, are you watching? Are you watching? Because this team, they're doing it at every part of the game, every end of the ice, and they're getting world-class goaltending, and everybody's seeing that right now. So, okay, so you know what? That part of my birth certificate is talking right now. Go Jets. Go Jets, go.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Right now, Darren.
You know, Andre DuPont, the old Philadelphia Flyer tough guy, was nicknamed Moose.
And you being a tough guy.
Right. But in hockey, when I was younger, another player came across the middle and made the most devastating check I've ever made in my life. Take off the helmet, and it's a girl. And so the coach slapped it. Attaboy, Moose. Just like the Moose. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is, right?
The one sports show where roughing is encouraged.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. RP Show on the air for a Wednesday. Grey Cup week continues. Rod is, I think, in the air currently. He's going to land sometime early afternoon in Vancouver today. He's going to Grey Cup. And then Thursday, Friday, live from Radio Row in Grey Cup at the festival grounds. Going to be awesome. So looking forward to that Thursday, Friday. But you got me for the next 2 hours. So settle on in, and it's going to be a really fun day today. The Alatura text line is open, 902-518-3033. We've already got some texts coming in there. We say hello to all the Moosaholics who are in already. BW is already in. Bo is watching, fresh off his cruise in New Orleans. I want to hear about that. And great time you had there, Bo. And luckily, those Saints, they got one for you. So that's good. Everybody's checking in here. Bomber Boy's in as well. So good morning to everybody. And I'm going to say good morning. I'm out here in Ontario where it's past noon now in the afternoon. But this is Grey Cup week. It's Grey Cup week. It's just past 9 a.m. So grab your coffee, load up the questions, and we're going to get into this. Busy day on the show today. We're going to get into a lot of football and some hockey as well. Jack Moore is going to join us from Southern Ontario. Jack is the voice of the OHL's Oshawa Generals, but also calls the Laurier Golden Hawks games. They're off to the U Sports semifinals in the UTEC Bowl this weekend, where they'll play Bishops. Meanwhile, in the Mitchell Bowl, the Regina Rams host Laval. So we'll get a little preview of the U Sports Final Four coming up a little bit later on this hour, actually in the next segment. Sean Reynolds of Sportsnet in Winnipeg will join us to talk about the Winnipeg Jets, fresh off their 15th win of the season. Fastest team in NHL history to 15 wins. Impressive last night, and more impressive is the Winnipeg Jets did it by beating what some people consider the best team in the NHL or one of the top teams in the NHL, if you don't think it's Winnipeg today. I don't know how you don't think it's the Jets. They're beating everybody. Florida's in that conversation, but they had their 7-game win streak snapped yesterday as well. So there's lots to talk about with Sean Reynolds on the Winnipeg Jets. And then in hour 2, Jim Mullen from TSN's Gridiron Nation will join the program. He's out in BC, in Vancouver, around the Grey Cup. We'll get him to set the scene ahead of Rod's arrival this afternoon on the Grey Cup. But we'll also talk to him about Curtis Rourke in Indiana, the Cornish Trophy race, and a little bit on the U Sports Final Four as well. And Darren Bombing of Bonfire Sports in Winnipeg will be with us. So a busy day today. We'll talk about those Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We are going to get to the NHL from last night. We're going to recap the Hardy Cup and talk about what lies ahead in the U Sports playoffs. Tons of Grey Cup talk because it is Wednesday of Grey Cup week, and we're going to have some Grey Cup fun with ChatGPT. Rod got me all into this about the Grey Cup. So we're going to have some fun with ChatGPT on the Grey Cup coming up a little bit later on. So let's hit the quick 6 show horn, and let's get down to business here. The Alatura text line's open, 902-518-3033. We can slow down a little bit in this segment, and then this show's going to go real fast because we've got Jack coming up in the next segment and Sean later on this hour. BW writes in and says, Winnipeg versus Florida in the Stanley Cup, too soon? Yeah, it's far too soon for that. But I understand getting excited, especially around the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets are interesting. So while the Jets have won their 15th game, here's some things that are interesting with the Jets. They've won 7 straight on the road to start the season. They're the 9th team in NHL history to do so, following the Kings, who went 11-0 on the road just last year. Buffalo in 06-07, who went 10-0 to start the season on the road. The Devils in 2009-2010, 9-0. The Preds in 2018-2019 were 8-0. The Penguins in 2009-2010 were 7-0 on the road to start the season. The Detroit Red Wings in 05-06 were 7-0. The Flyers and back to the 80s in 85-86 were 7-0. And all the way back in the 40s, the Maple Leafs, 1940-1941, 7-0 to start the season. Just pulling up the Winnipeg Jets schedule here, and we can start looking ahead to who the Jets have on the road. They've won 7 straight on the road. Could they get to 11? That's 4 games. Now, when you look at the Jets, they beat New York on the road. They go to if they get through these next 2 games on the road, which I think are the toughest games. They're going through the toughest stretch of their season right now, the Winnipeg Jets are. If they get through the weekend, I think the Jets can knock off the LA Kings and be the best team out of the gate on the road and bypass their 11 straight wins from last year on the road. Okay? You look at this like meat grinder of a schedule that the Winnipeg Jets are going through and what they're doing to teams. I mean, they had 2 straight shutouts, beating Utah 3-0, Colorado 1-0. But look at this. Going back to last Thursday, home to Colorado, home to Dallas, 2 of the best teams in the West on paper. Then they're on the road in New York, maybe the best team in the NHL. On the road in Tampa tomorrow. And then on Saturday, they're on the road. They're on the road in Tampa tomorrow, on the road in Florida on Saturday. If you get through those, your road record is pretty good because then you have the home and home with Florida. So you got Florida back to back. And then on the road next weekend at Pittsburgh, at Nashville. So if you can get through Tampa and Florida this weekend, Thursday and Saturday, I think Pittsburgh and Nashville get you to 11 wins on the road. And then it goes Minnesota, LA, Vegas on the road. They're going to go through a stretch to end the month, 5 straight games on the road to end the month in November. And I haven't looked into December to see what that looks like. So they'll have a 6-game roadie because they go to Dallas to start December before coming home to take on the St. Louis Blues. So I think, when you look at the Winnipeg Jets, this is a really tough part of their schedule. And you look at the last 3 games, they've allowed they've allowed 4 goals in the last 4 games. That's it. 6-3 against the Rangers last night, 4-1 over Dallas, 1-0 over Colorado, 3-0 over Utah. I mean, the Jets are, throw it up, they're knocking it out. Throw it up, they're knocking it out. So pretty impressive what the Winnipeg Jets are doing, and no doubt that the Jets can keep this going. But this is the toughest part of their season, I believe it right now. A lot of questions coming in on the Canadian Football League. We're going to talk about that. Our poll question today, let's get to that. It's brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more info, emjmarketing.com. And it's simple. Who is the Canadian Football League's Coach of the Year? The awards are going to be handed out tomorrow in Vancouver, tomorrow night. And we got more time to dissect this and talk about who we think is going to win these awards. But Jason Moss of the Montreal Alouettes is up for Coach of the Year in the East. And Corey Mace, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, is up as the West nominee for Coach of the Year. Who will win the CFL's Coach of the Year? Do we have early results on YouTube, those watching the show? 67% of you say Corey Mace is going to be the Coach of the Year. So I like that. I'll just put a pull up, see if I can grab the Twitter results and see if we can find out. Similar on Facebook, 67% of you think that Corey Mace is going to win. We've had some votes coming in. 71% on Twitter think Corey Mace is going to win as well. You can vote for the next 23 hours here and at rodpedersen.com. Who will win Coach of the Year? We're going to have some fun with that with ChatGPT, and we're going to decide who's going to win Coach of the Year and see if ChatGPT is right. We're going to do that coming up later on this hour. And then next hour, we're going to talk about the MOP, who's going to win that, Bo Levi or Brady Oliveira. Should be fun on that one. Text line's open, 902-518-3033. It's the Alaterra text line. Text coming in late last night. Gary in Penticton, BC. Hey, Rod, great show as usual. Enjoy your stay in Vancouver. Winnipeg wins. Should be a good game. Enjoy. So he's going for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That's Gary out in Penticton, British Columbia. If you're going to the game, hope you're doing well. Kirk writes in. Hi, Kirk. Hi, Rod. Kirk from Toronto. Met Rod Black some years ago on Clifton Hill in Niagara Falls as he was still calling CFL games. Great guy. Rod Black is a great guy. Clifton Hills is a great spot too, Niagara Falls. I've gotten familiar with that since being out here in Ontario. And Bentley writes in from Regina. Hey, Rod, I've always thought of Winnipeg as a Western team. They temporarily help balance out the league, but that's just me. I'm a bit older than you. I'm sure Frenzy would see it my way. That's Bentley and Regina. I look at Winnipeg as a Western team. I remember they were in the East, but, really, as a kid, they were in the East. But I think for the most part, when the Riders started to get good in the 2010s and, you had Winnipeg's been in the West for a while now. I am punching Winnipeg as a Western team. It feels like a Western team, but I understand if some people would think they're from the East. BW wants to know tea or coffee today. This is coffee. This is the Cafe Bustelo coffee. Pick this up in the U.S.
How about that?
The Cuban coffee. Made that today. Coffee today, tea this afternoon, and then away we go. Shy writes in, Corey Mace will win, and he outclassed O'Shea. Okay. I don't know about that necessarily, about the outclassing part, but I can see Corey Mace maybe winning this award. Well, I can see both winning the award, but I just think what Corey Mace did was pretty special, turning this team around, the way he's built the culture up a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Again, Montreal was the best team in the Canadian Football League, really throughout, stumbled a little bit at the end. And I think we look at what happened in the playoffs and not getting to the Grey Cup, but neither of these coaches got to the Grey Cup, right? Neither got to the Grey Cup. John Ohm writes in, he says, Jets win, Jets win. Yeah, the Jets are rolling right now. Winners of 15 on the season. Interesting. Last night as well, the Toronto Maple Leafs fell to the Ottawa Senators 3-0. Let's go through the NHL scores from last night just quickly. Ottawa with the 3-0 win. It was the first Leafs home shutout in 3.5 years. Wild. New Jersey snapped Florida's 7-game. Yeah, I know. Sad. The Devils snapped the Panthers' 7-game win streak, 4-1 winners there. Sam Reinhart, though, continues to roll. He had Florida's lone goal. Boston edged St. Louis 3-2. Connor McDavid had 4 points. He has sitting at 999 points on the season. Edmonton got past the Islanders 4-3 last night in overtime. He set up Leon Draisaitl's overtime winner. McDavid, 999 points. He was asked about it. It was kind of got caught in the post-game press conference when he was asked about 999. He said, is it something that you just kind of want to get over with and just move on? And he's like, no, you don't. And then he's like, you just kind of want to move past it and get it over with. And then he kind of thought about it. He's like, yeah, so I guess you're right. I guess we do want to just get it over with. It's special. 1,000 points is pretty special. Connor McDavid, awesome stuff. And it will be fun when he gets it. Vancouver, Elias Pedersen had a goal and an assist, and now he's rolling a little bit. Pedersen is rolling. He's scored in consecutive games for the first time since scoring in 3 straight games way back last January. 4 points in his last 2 games, matching his total from the previous 8. So Petey, for the time being, is back, and they need him to be at a high level. They beat Calgary 3-1 last night, and it was Seattle over Columbus 5-2. I think I edged Rod in our breakaway bets. I got to go back and add it up, but I'll have to check. He had Columbus beating Seattle. I had Seattle winning, so 1 for me, none for him. I had Vancouver. He had Calgary. We both had Edmonton. I think he had Boston, and I had St. Louis. So I think it's 3-2. Neither of us had the Devils winning. And we both had the Jets, and he had Toronto. So I think I got him by 1, 4-3. He had Ottawa. I had Toronto. But I'll have to double check and add that. Questions and comments. Load them up in the YouTube chat. We'll get to more of that. We'll get to your comments on the text line, the Alatura text line, 902-518-3033. But on Saturday, it's the UTEC Bowl. The Bishops will take on the Laurier Golden Hawks. That's going to be a great game. And out in Regina, the Mitchell Bowl, the Regina Rams are welcoming in the Laval Rouge et Or. Trip to the Vanier Cup is on the line. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to bring in Jack Moore, and we're going to talk about this on the other side of the break. You're watching The Rod Pedersen Show all across Canada on the Game Plus television network, streaming on YouTube, or you're listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hour one of the program is brought to you by Culligan. Fast, convenient, and pure. Your water bottle drive-through awaits. Culligan Water, Regina. Regina.com. Let's go out on the video chat. Welcome in Jack Moore. He's the voice of many things, the Oshawa Generals and the Ontario Hockey League, but also the Laurier Golden Hawks. Thanks for joining us, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Always good to join you. Always good to chat, and I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
When do you fly out? You're going to go to Regina. You're going to be part of that broadcast with CBC. Leave Friday?
Yeah, leave Friday night, come back Sunday morning, and then we got a Generals game 2:00 Sunday afternoon. So it should be a fun weekend. I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Regina before, so I'm really looking forward to seeing the city. And I think I'm going to show up to Mosaic a little early so I can try and sneak in as many places as possible and just take it all in, because that's definitely been on my bucket list for a while. But excited. It's going to be a great weekend of football. Obviously, the Grey Cup on Sunday, but the two University National semis we have this weekend should be just fantastic.
Yeah, they're going to be great. Clark, games on Saturday. Is the Italian Star Deli open on Saturdays? I think it is, isn't it? He's going to Google it. That's the place. You got to go for an Italian Star Deli sandwich. All the CFL guys coming in on the road. That's the spot. If there's only one, that's probably it. And it's kind of on the way to the stadium. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, there you go. So, there's your recommendation. Also, pack warm, even though, I don't know what the forecast is looking for early, probably pretty nice, but pack warm.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be around 0 degrees. It's kind of changed on the precipitation, and when it's raining, I think you'd rather it be a little bit more snowy than rainy, but yeah, I'm going to definitely pack the layers and make sure I'm nice and warm in there. I'm a Southern Ontario guy, I know you are. I'm soft. I'm soft when it comes to cold.
Zero is, and everyone that's watching this, because we have a lot of Western Canadians that watch this show, they're like, 0 is fantastic for this time of year, like amazing. So that's warm, but yeah, pack the layers. Look, let's start there. Rams and Rouge et Or, like it should be great. On paper, I think a lot of people look at this and think, okay, Laval, they have a history of being one of the best teams in Canada. Regina was a 3-5 team in the regular season, but that defense that the Rams have, I don't think that Laval or Laurier or Bishops have seen a defense like this season. I think they're that good. But what are you looking at going into this one?
Yeah, I definitely think the defense is going to be key. Both sides of the ball. I mean, you're talking about 2 top 7 defenses in the country when it comes to Regina and Laval. But when you play in the Canada West, like you're very more battle tested through the regular season. Every week is a tough week. It's ultimately the Wild West out there because you don't know what you're going to get on a week-to-week basis. But something that was consistent through the regular season for Regina was how strong their defense was able to play from start to finish. So I think it's going to give Laval fits. What I think benefits Laval over Montreal is Laval's a little bit more of a balanced offense. They can run the ball on you, but they can also throw. They have the RSEQ MVP and Arnaud Desjardins at quarterback, who's already won a national championship as a starting quarterback back in 2022. So I think it's going to be difficult for Regina throughout the course of the game. The big thing for them is going to be if their offense can just maintain time of possession, if they can keep Laval's offense off the field and maintain drives, not necessarily scoring on every drive, but holding time of possession, giving their defense a break, forcing Laval to defense to be on the field a lot more than their defense. That's going to be the big key in this one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Regina does at quarterback. Noah Pelche got hurt at the end of that last game, so there's some question marks there. That could be a key factor. Now, you're more familiar. Let's go back to the Yates Cup. It was on this network on Game Plus. Big win over Western. Taylor Elgersma, I watched him early on in the year, and we've watched his year go. To me, it was the Western game in the regular season that was kind of the statement game, the coming out party, you put up some numbers, but that was the moment. And then when you get a chance to play Western again, you kind of think, okay, he did it once, but to really cement himself as a pro prospect, can he do it again? And he answered the bell.
Yeah, I mean, in the regular season, you talked about it. He started that game 8 for 8. I think he threw for over 200 yards in the first half. And then in the Yates Cup, just the ability to dissect that Western defense. One of the most impressive touchdowns of the game for me was to Ethan Jordan. He created separation on Jackson Finley, and CFL fans should get used to that name because he's going to be a guy who goes in the first round of the CFL draft. And the ability to create separation on a corner out to the back of the end zone, and Taylor Elgersma just put it in a perfect spot. I've been able to watch Taylor for the last 4 years, and seeing him get thrown into the chaos year number 1 after Connor Carasello gets hurt week 1 against the York Lions, and Taylor has to step in as a first-year quarterback and go through that process. He really showed signs that he could develop well, but it was all going to be how he approached it. 2022, he took a step forward. Team went 5-3, and then you saw him put up, the best completion percentage in the history of the conference in 2023 at 76%. He had a down year, just 74.5% this year on his completion percentage. But he's really taken strides forward. And I think it's been a while since U Sports, obviously Trey Ford was the guy who came in, and now he's in the CFL with Edmonton. But I think it's been a while since we've seen that pro system quarterback like Taylor Elgersma come out of Canadian university football. And I think it's raising a lot of eyebrows with CFL scouts, just his ability to process the game. Michael Folds told us going into the broadcast on Friday afternoon, he told us, if you were able to get to your third or fourth read as a starting quarterback, you were happy if you hit that 5 times a year. Taylor Elgersma is hitting 4th and 5th reads 5 times a game. He processes the game so quickly. He has a phenomenal offensive line in front of him, and he has great weapons on the outside, but his ability to process information, get the ball out of his hands, and make the right read is really, really impressive.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. And, I've even heard, just with his build and the way he reads defenses, but then throws the football, not just a Canadian pro prospect, but he could get some looks down in the United States as well. He's going to some of those elite camps and, some of those looks. So that's fun to watch as we look. But on the other side, what do we know about Bishops? Because when it comes out of the AUS, we always have question marks. We always think, okay, that's the free space in the bingo card. And they've had a good year and started to create a little bit of, maybe they're the one to come out of the AUS. And then in the Loney Bowl, it looked kind of like they weren't going to get out of it. They needed overtime just to get into the UTEC. So what do you expect out of Bishops?
Well, they needed a fumble by St. Mary's just to get the ball and kick the tying field goal to get into overtime. Like, they really got the bounces their way, and sometimes great teams need to learn to win those tight games. They've had a phenomenal year just trying to get through and push forward. And we've seen how St. FX has really run that conference the last couple of years. And there was times over the last few years where you said, hey, St. FX is ready to make that jump. And then they get on the national stage and it's not quite there. They had a great game against Saskatchewan in 2022. But last year against UBC, they got outclassed. The year before against Western, they got blown out of the water. So you do definitely have the question marks. We talk about strength of schedule and quality of opponents coming out of Canada West, where you're in a battle every single week. And, you know, it's shocking, but not shocking to see a 3-5 team come out of that conference. For Bishops, like for the AUS, everything comes out of, well, if you win, you have to show strong in the national semifinal. And they have a tough task. I mean, Laurier's offense is just phenomenal. And if they're clicking, their offense is going to have some problems. Laurier likes to rotate their defensive line. They bring in, you know, they don't run just 4 guys every time. They have 8 defensive linemen dressed, and they all take reps throughout the entirety of the game. They get 35 to 40 good snaps out of their defensive line. Bishops runs most of their running game out of just their offensive line. They don't bring in a fullback too often. So it's going to be tough in the trenches with Laurier's defense. And you got a middle linebacker in Ethan Gregorczyk, 19 years old, 6'3", 240 pounds. The kid's a freak in the middle of the defense, but he's also got great pieces around him. So Bishops is going to have their fits. If they can move the ball and score, keep Laurier's offense off the field like we talked about with Regina's offense, I think they have a chance. But really, when you don't get the cross-conference play in the regular season, we don't know what it's going to look like when the best team in the AUS goes up against the best team in the OUA, when the best team in the Canada West goes up against the best team in the RCQ. So you just have to look at the teams individually and on the eye test. And everybody I seem to talk to seem to think that the RSEQ championship game and the OUA championship game were the 4 best teams in the country this year. So those Canada West and the AUS champs have a tough task this week trying to punch up to their opponents. But luckily for both of them, they don't have to travel. Laurier has a 9-hour bus trip. Laval's got to fly out to Regina. So it's not going to be easy going on the road because you're also not used to that type of travel in the regular season. You think about Laval, they're in Quebec City. They only have to go to Sherbrooke and they only have to go to Montreal to play the road games. Laurier, a little bit longer, maybe 6 hours to Ottawa. But other than that, you know, you don't have long road trips. And this is a Laurier team who had a 6-week stance where they didn't leave Waterloo Region, and their first game before that was in Hamilton, which is 45 minutes down the road. So it's not a team that's used to traveling. They had a couple longer road trips at the end of the year, but I think the travel and the home field advantage for the teams that would be the underdogs in this game might go into their advantage.
And the Rams don't have to play in front of 30,000 or 25,000 fans in Quebec City. So that's an advantage, Rams, right away. Look, how much are you paying attention during Grey Cup week, and who do you like in the 111th Grey Cup?
I'm trying my best. I'm trying to, because I'm not as familiar with the RSEQ and the Canada West, I really have to dive into who the guys are. But I think the Argos are going to have a tough time. It's my team, my hometown team. I love my Argos, but with no Chad Kelly in there, I think Nick Arbuckle can be a guy who can step in. He won a game against Winnipeg in the regular season, but this is a Winnipeg team that looks a lot different than they did when Toronto beat them 16-14 in the regular season with Arbuckle at quarterback. And in that game, he only had 87 passing yards. So Toronto's offense really has to get it going. You saw what Winnipeg's rushing offense was able to do against Saskatchewan, one of the best rush defenses in the CFL. So I think the Argos are going to have a tough time. If I'm allowed to pick with the spread, I like the Argos +9. But if I'm picking a Grey Cup champ, I think Winnipeg is just playing at a different level right now, and it's going to be really, really tough for the Argos to get the ball moving offensively with Nick Arbuckle stepping in and Chad Kelly out.
Yeah, I agree. And yesterday when we pulled it up, the spread was as high as 10.5 for Winnipeg. So I'm leaning that way too. With the spread, definitely, I think Toronto can keep this within a touchdown. It's a big game. And lastly, before I let you go, just a little quick look on the OHL, because I know you're the voice of the Oshawa Generals. We were out there on the weekend, and that was a heavyweight tilt, right? Kitchener was #1 team in the league against Oshawa, and the Generals picked up a nice win, and maybe one or two guys we might see at Christmas in the World Juniors.
Yeah, Callum Ritchie is definitely, I think you can pen him into your World Junior roster. He took over that game on Sunday, like you saw, 2 goals and an assist against the top team in the OHL in a 3-2 win for the Generals. If he didn't miss the start of the year with shoulder surgery last year, there's an argument to be made that he could have been the OHL MVP over Easton Cowan from London. Not discrediting what Easton did and the phenomenal year he had, but Callum Ritchie is one of the best, if not the best players in the OHL. And then Colby Barlow, the Winnipeg Jets prospect, hasn't been able to find the net as consistently as he's wanted to, but you can see his complete game really molding a lot more since he's come over to the Generals organization. And then Beckett Seneca could make that team too when he's on his game and he's playing north-south. He is one of the most explosive, if not the best players in the OHL. So for Ritchie and Seneca to be on the same line, it's really a scary thought for opposing teams in their own zone with those guys coming in on them. So those are the 3 guys, and don't discredit Luca Morelli. Might be able to shift in on the defensive side as well. He's had a great start to the year, both in his own zone and offensively, tied for the league lead in defenseman points this year. So definitely a lot of guys you can look at on this Oshawa roster that could get the nod for Team Canada camp for the World Juniors, and I'd expect 1, if not 2 to 4 on the team.
Well, it's been fun to watch and been fun to follow, Jack. Appreciate this. Have fun in Regina. Stay warm, and we'll see you Sunday when you get back to Oshawa.
Yeah, I'll see you on Sunday. Thanks so much for having me, Darren.
All right, Jack Moore joining us here. And a great look at the Final Four in U Sports football coming up this weekend. Should be a lot of fun. If you missed it, it'll be up on YouTube later on today. We'll take a break, come back with more here in hour 1, and Sean Reynolds will join us from Sportsnet. Looking forward to that. Talk about the Winnipeg Jets' big win last night over the Rangers. It's the Rod Pedersen Show, and you're watching on the Game Plus Television Network.
Skate into the holiday season with the Stars. Stars on Ice 2024 Holiday Tour with figure skating icon Elvis Stoico, Olympic medalist Caitlin Osmond, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poche, Keegan Messing, Satoko Miyahara, and more. Stars on Ice, coming to Moose Jaw Event Center December 20th. Unwrap your tickets at starsonice.ca.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders. Plus, behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, welcome back to the RP Show here on a Wednesday. Rod's traveling to Vancouver for the 111th Grey Cup, and we'll have full Grey Cup coverage live from Radio Row tomorrow and Friday, so that should be fun, and live guests from down there as well. Rod's already lining that up. Text lines open for Alatura, 902-518-3033. We go out on the video call now. Welcome in Sean Reynolds of Sportsnet. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Yeah. Last night, Winnipeg Jets win their 15th game. What's like, where are you guys at when you're up in the press box in Winnipeg? Like, is it just like every night you kind of think, is this it? Is this it? Is this it? And it just never is. They just keep rolling. What's going on in Winnipeg?
I think for me personally, I'm less focused in on the numbers, like the 15 wins in 16 games. That defies logic. It shouldn't be possible. What is impressive about this is you'll see for a lot of teams in their winning streaks that a lot of times, you know, if you win 10 straight games, 3 of them are probably games that maybe you didn't deserve to win and somehow found a way to win it. That's not happening with the Jets. The Jets are showing time and time again that they're the best team on the ice night after night after night. And again, that shouldn't be possible because just human nature, you're going to let down. You know, the physicality of the game means some days you're just not going to have it. Travel is going to get to you at some point. And, you know, the team's just going to have a stinker on whole. But that's not happening with the Jets. And what you see from this team, what used to be concerning about the Winnipeg Jets is they were always this team that seemed to find a way to play down to their opposition's level. So they'd have this great roster, this great team. They'd go in and they'd play a team that was struggling, and then they'd play down to their level. And quite often the Jets were good enough that they would be able to skill their way through the game, show up for 3 minutes out of 60 minutes and still find a way to win that game. But quite often they'd find themselves on the wrong side of that. And that kind of mindset meant when it was time to start the engine and get going against really good teams, the Jets just wouldn't have it. This is the opposite. This is the Jets just finding a way. Now, I take a look at that game last night, and I don't think the Jets had their mojo in that game, and yet they're playing a really good New York Rangers team, and at every point of that game, whatever the New York Rangers had to give, the Jets were giving more in that moment. And so that's what you're finding from this team, a real, you know, awareness of what it takes in game to win a game. If they fall back in games, they find a way to clamp things down. They don't allow the next goal, but they still stay offensive. They get back into the game without taking risks. So this is just, there's a right way of playing hockey. And out of 16 games this year, the Jets have played the right way for like all but 15, 16, 17 minutes of a 16-game schedule. And that's the amazing part about this. The Jets are doing it right. They've earned pretty much every win they've had outside of a game where they kind of got taken over by the Colorado Avalanche, but still found a way to win. The Jets are legit. There's no pointing at this and saying it's fool's gold. Everything they're doing is the right thing. And that's why you're seeing the results. The results are earned.
Yeah, and they're in the midst of like this insane schedule where they beat Colorado, Dallas, the Rangers. You're going to go on the road to Tampa. You got a home and home with Florida. Like, this is a really tough part of the schedule, and it's like they're not breaking a sweat.
Yeah, and I think the really impressive part about it is I've talked a lot about the details that the Winnipeg Jets have shown. They're playing right now like every attempt to keep the puck in the offensive team zone is a life and death battle. If you want to see a team that competes around its own net to keep the puck out of the net, like you've got the best goaltender in the world, yet go and look at a Jets game and look at the highlights around their net. How many times are their defensemen, their forward, the centerman, the winger collapsing down and diving in front of a puck to protect a wide open net? The Jets are competing right now like it's game 7 of the second round of the playoffs. And really, that's enough at this stage because the vast majority of teams in the NHL are either trying to figure themselves out and struggling with it. You know, a team like the Nashville Predators is a perfect example. Great team last year. They add players that make it look like they should be better, but that mix is now different and they're trying to figure out how those players play together. There's almost no change in the Jets roster from the opening roster from last season. So the Jets know who they are. They know how they need to play, and they are playing to the extent of their abilities against, like, if you watch that Rangers game last night, there's far too many casual moments for the New York Rangers in that game, and the Jets pounce all over that and they eat that up. So right now, the Jets are a team that is in 5th gear. They are at the top of their abilities right now, while a lot of teams are either not caring enough at this stage of the season to give it their all or can't because they haven't figured themselves up. And that's why the Jets are feasting on not just one or two or the bottom level teams. They're just feasting on everybody because the Jets have taken their game to a level that other teams just are not at yet.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. Lots been made of the fan base in Winnipeg, you know, both positive and negative. But I think, like, positively, this has been one of the funnest things to watch, from going back to the Pittsburgh game and the "Where is Rutger" chants to the Dallas game, you know, when they were chanting at Ottinger, U.S. backup. Like, this fan base is all over it. I love it.
Yeah, I've got a theory. I'll try and get it through it as quick as possible. But when the Jets came back, the Jets fan base was astounding. And you go back to the, you know, silver medal chants that they had when the U.S. starting goaltender from the 2010 Olympics came rolling into town, or the Crosby's better chant when Ovechkin was in town. This fan base comes up with some of the most clever ways to impact a game. They've always done that. I always say this, 2018, the Winnipeg Jets, I thought, were the best team in the world. They looked like they were cruising to a Stanley Cup. And the Vegas Golden Knights came in and shocked the Jets and their fan base so much. I feel like they broke the building and kind of established this culture where Jets fans all of a sudden went from, you know, this positive mindset to thinking, well, when's the trap door going to fall out from below us? And the Jets as a team have given their fans reason to believe that. You know, last year, no one expected them to fall apart like they did in the playoffs. The year before that, they had a dominant first game against the Vegas Golden Knights, who won the Cup that year, and then fell apart after that to the point that their head coach had to call them out. I think what's happened this year is, to the point I was saying before, if the Jets fall down 2-0 in a game, if you're a fan of the Jets, you know they're going to push and probably come back in that game. That what you know for sure is they're going to give it the old college try and they're going to do things the right way. So the Jets have given their fans the stability back to believe, to feel like the good things are going to happen. It's really got their mojo back, and you're just seeing what the Jets fan base looks like when it's got its mojo.
Cool. I'm not going to, I don't need an answer on this one because I think we know the answer, but I'll read it anyway because David's watching in Winnipeg. He says, Rennie, can Chevy put in a call to Big Buff I think he would 100% love to be playing on a team like this. Buff's 39. I don't know if he's coming back, but fun thought, fun sentiment, no doubt. But I want to shift, and just before we let you go, your thoughts on Winnipeg and the Grey Cup this weekend. And just this city has been spoiled right now. You got the great hockey team, 5 straight trips to the Grey Cup. What are you looking for on Sunday?
This is a city right now that is blessed by the sports gods. I can tell you that right now. You take a look at the Winnipeg, you got to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good. But the Winnipeg Jets, as a team, are a team that the bounces have all gone their way. It's gone another level with the Blue Bombers. I mean, you think about what happened in Montreal a few weeks back to give them, home field advantage coming through the West. And now you roll into a situation where you not only find yourself in the Grey Cup, but a team that has had your numbers so far this year, they lose their starting quarterback. It really feels like the sports gods are smiling down on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but give them credit. The Bombers, since a very slow start to the season, seem to have done everything right. Their defense, which I think has always been the strength of this dynasty, make no mistake about it, the Bombers are still in the middle of a dynasty right now. That's back, makes things really difficult. And the other thing I'll say is, if the sports gods are smiling down on the Jets and the Bombers, there's a time where they definitely weren't and were, kind of frowning down on the Bombers. 2007, the Bombers lost their starting quarterback in Kevin Glenn, and Ryan Dinwiddie, the coach of the Toronto Argos, had to step in. That was a year, and think about it. I mean, I was a young teenager when the Bombers stopped being a competitive team and went all those years that defied the numbers, how long they went without winning a Grey Cup. There was a lot of suffering going on here and a lot of things that seem to work against the Winnipeg sports fans. This is one of those things where maybe if you were around for 2007 and saw what happened to the Bombers and saw their opportunity go out the window with a quarterback injury, it's almost like this is payback in the right direction for Winnipeg sports fans.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely have earned it, no doubt. Well, appreciate this. Enjoy the ride, Sean. Thanks for taking some time today.
Anytime.
Sean Reynolds, Sportsnet in Winnipeg, where times are good. One more break in this hour. Come back, put a lid on it, and get you set for hour 2. RP Show rolls on a Wednesday here on the Game Plus Television Network.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
3033. 902 518 3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Mo.
The moustache is calling. Raise funds, save lives. Donate at Movember.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Welcome back to the RP Show here on a Wednesday. We'll settle things down and get you set for hour two and put a wrap on really the NHL talk. We're going to shift it all to football and the Grey Cup next hour. So load your questions in. I know you guys are chatting about it on YouTube. Text line for Alatura is open at 902-518-3033. As sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback in the game against wrinkles, scars, and acne. It's never too late to revitalize your skin with Alatura Naturals. Alatura.com. Use code RP20 for 20% off your order. Again, we'll get to the texts, we'll get to your questions, comments, and we're going to have some fun next hour, too, with ChatGPT. Should be fun. But tonight, in the National Hockey League, 5 games. Oliver Ekman-Larsson plays his 1,000th game. The Toronto Maple Leafs on the road in Washington. Tough game. The 10-4 Caps at home as Ovi continues his pursuit of Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals record. The Leafs coming off the shutout loss on Tuesday night to Ottawa. First time the Leafs have been shut out at home in 3.5 years. Sidney Crosby continues the chase for 600, and all eyes are going to be on him. The Penguins are home to Detroit. Both teams underperforming. Detroit 6-7-1, looking to be a playoff team this year, while Pittsburgh 6-9-2. Kyle Dubas saying everybody is available except Crosby in terms of trades. Curious there, and very interesting. But Crosby stuck at 598 goals. He's too shy. Could happen tonight. Home to Detroit. Carolina brings their 11-3 record on the road to Utah, who are playing 500 hockey. Colorado, also a 500 team, home to LA. Off to a decent start, 9-5-3 on the year. And Vegas on the road in Anaheim tonight. Hour one of the program has been brought to you by Seat Giant. Don't pay U.S. prices, all in Canadian. Get your discount now. SeatGiant.ca for tickets. The poll question today: who will win CFL Coach of the Year, Jason Moss or Corey Mace? The poll question for EMJ Marketing. And we're going to get to that next hour. It's going to be fun, the poll question, including our conversation with ChatGPT, which is going to be fun next hour. I'm really looking forward to that, and you should be too. Connor McDavid up to 999 points after a 3-point night last night against the New York Islanders. That's been fun. Also next hour, we'll get to Grey Cup. We had a great Hardy Cup review and a look at the Final Four in U Sports with Jack Moore joining us. Big thanks to Jack Moore. Big thanks to Sean Reynolds for joining us from Sportsnet in hour one. But next hour, Jim Mullen will be along from TSN's Gridiron Nation. Darren Bombing from Bonfire Sports. I believe Darren's already in Vancouver. We're going to find out. And we'll get to the NFL Top 5 and a little bit more football fun all ahead next hour on the show. So that should be a lot of fun. We'll get to your comments as well. I know Aaron is watching, wants to know if the Riders move on from Trevor Harris, maybe to get Vernon Adams. questions about the Riders' future at quarterback coming up in the text line as well. Some text answer, including a text from Metal Shingle Guy is in there. John Ohm, should the Riders go after Vernon or Davis Alexander? All football questions that we'll answer next hour. Okay? Again, thanks to Jack Moore, thanks to Sean Reynolds, and thanks to you for watching the RP Show.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Right now, Darren.
You know, Andre DuPont, the old Philadelphia Flyer tough guy, was nicknamed Moose.
And you being a tough guy.
Right. But in hockey, when I was younger, another player came across the middle and made the most devastating check I've ever made in my life. Take off the helmet, and it's a girl. And so the coach slapped it. Attaboy, Moose. Just like the Moose. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is, right?
The one sports show where roughing is encouraged.
Wednesday, Grey Cup week rolls on here on the program, and we welcome you in wherever you're watching. across the Game Plus television network. Great day across the country. Still morning out in the West Coast, but afternoon out in the East as well. 902-518-3033 is the Alatura text line. It is open now. Get your questions and comments in because it's going to be mostly football coming up here on the program this hour. If you're listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify or watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, drop us a comment. Let us know what you think. Coming up this hour, Darren Bombing from Bonfire Sports will be alongside a little bit later on with a little look at the Bombers, Grey Cup, and out on the West Coast we go right away. Jim Mullins with us from TSN's Gridiron Nation. Jim, good to see you. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm doing a lot better than the weather out here. You might catch a picture of the swaying trees. We had a wonderful storm roll through here, and it's settled in today, too. We've got gusts up to 60K. I'm just happy that the power is on. Unlike last week, we've had quite the rough ride on the coast.
Uh-oh, not welcoming the rest of the country in with open arms, man. What the heck? So what does your Grey Cup week look like? Are you going to get into the mainland here soon and take in the festivities?
As long as the ferry isn't shut down today, I'll hop on it. And there's an event that our friend Farhan Lalji is staging. It's a big party tonight, along with Dave Naylor, that the crew has been invited out to. That's a good way to start things out. And then I'll meander around, I guess, on Thursday. There's a few other events on Friday, and then we'll do kind of the Radio Row thing on Saturday as we get ready for the game on Sunday.
Yeah, it should be fun. That media party on the Wednesday night is always a real treat, and get to see everybody. I know you'll have a blast tonight. What is the vibe right now around Grey Cup 111 in Vancouver?
Well, it's good to see that the numbers in terms of ticket sales have just kind of scraped up over that 50,000 number. There was a great push for sales in the first 2 weeks back in the summer when tickets were open. They got up to about 45,000, and then they plateaued for the longest period of time. And the BC Lions on the field did not help that effort at all in the second half of the season, unfortunately. After that fantastic start, what a disappointment for Amar Doman and company, considering the investment that they put in, not only in terms of the roster, not only in terms of bringing Nathan Rourke in, but all the other things that they've done around the event to make it an attractive event, win, lose, or draw for the BC Lions. So there was a sense of disappointment leading into this. I think the week has been quiet so far. I think the organizers are aided by the week starting sooner. So the Grey Cup landed here on Sunday rather than the Wednesday that we're traditionally accustomed to. I think those parts help to turn Grey Cup week into a full week rather than the Grey Cup half week like it's normally been. So having the commissioner on the stage yesterday, I think helps the conversation along. I think it helps sales. I think we'll have a fantastic event here in Vancouver. I just hope that this weather blows out of town here within a day, and we get a donut hole in the weather, and we get a couple of really nice days for our visitors here, because there's 2 zip lines that have been installed down at the Trade and Convention Center that actually go over water, and there is no way in hell I would get on those things right now, because if you lose your grip, you'll be blown over to the North Shore Mountains.
Is that something you would do? Are you going to get on the zip line if the weather is good?
You know, when I was young and foolish and 19 years old, I jumped out of an airplane. And I think I used all my credits up. Yeah, I did. I've jumped out of an airplane before. And I think I used all my credits up for doing things like that out of the air where there's some sort of hard ground underneath. I've checked that box off, and I don't think I'm doing that again.
Yeah, it's nice to stay where it's safe, man. I've always said I'd rather jump out of an airplane than go bungee jumping. The thought of the ground being right, you know what I mean? At least with the jumping out of the airplane, you got some time if something goes wrong to at least, not that you got much options, but wow. You mentioned Randy. He spoke yesterday, and the Grey Cup week is underway. We could dissect everything he talked about, but I kind of want to, because you're a connected guy, who are we hearing in terms of the next commissioner? Because it's been pretty quiet in terms of names, but we know that Grey Cup, when everybody gets together, this is kind of going to be the start of when we start speculating about who's next. So what do you think?
It'll be interesting to hear what the buzz is on the ground throughout the week. I think we'll have a clearer picture probably emerging in terms of what the CFL wants to do in terms of finding that new commissioner. If I were in their shoes, I'd go with the global search. I'd erase all preconceived notions. I'd get a highly rated recruiting firm in, and I do outreach. As much as this is a Canadian institution, I think you're in a global marketplace with the type of product that you have. And given that there's broadcast deals coming up in the not too distant future, you need someone that's equipped to manage those and give proper valuation to those. That being said, there's two names that come to mind for me. And I've discussed them with a few folks. Mike Morielli is the one that keeps leaping up to the obvious top of the list. He of the CEBL. He's done a fantastic job in terms of developing that league. He has a background with the Canadian Football League Players Association in a leadership role. That's certainly a positive. Well known in the GTA, which I think is a strength for him. The issue with the going from the CEBL to the CFL, it's a very different economic model, and I think there's room in there to navigate for the governors and for the candidate in this case. And then, look inside the structure of the CFL. Really, the number two man there for years, Randy's right-hand man, and I've got a great deal of respect for this gentleman, is Greg Dick, that has managed to be kind of all hands on deck through the pandemic. Greg isn't someone that people know on the surface, but he's on the front line, and he knows how the sausages are made. And sometimes it's not pretty with the Board of Governors, but he gets things done. And quite frankly, he's a good corporate diplomat as well. He understands all of the moving pieces around football in this country, and I think they need to take a serious look at him as well.
When you sit back and look at this league, where do you see the biggest opportunity for the CFL?
Broadcast is one, because of the change in broadcast landscape. I'm not sure if it's all in with one company anymore as they move forward. It's a combination of streaming services and terrestrial and cable. I still think that there's opportunity for major growth there. I don't think that Randy was that far off when it came to CFL 2.0 and the global aspect, quite frankly. I think in some cases, the league was looking at it through the wrong end of the telescope. I think there's opportunities for international competition, country versus country competition, that the CFL could be a driver in regards to tackle football. If they were to set themselves up in that position. I think with some of the global players that were on the field, they're a lot more attractive if they're playing with their flag on their helmet and their flag on their heart than being buried on special teams on a CFL team. And I think that's one of the reasons why the global initiative didn't really translate. And I think in terms of a strategic plan for the CFL, that's an area that they still have to look at for growth outside of the United States. I'm talking globally. I've spent a lot of time engaging with our friends in Mexico. There are markets there that could be receptive and could be productive and could be profitable for a CFL team. the ELF is, essentially kind of a semi-pro league right now. But those are in Europe. Those are the foundations for something there as well. Whomever figures out that combination of getting football on the ground in those cities that's linked to something in North America can probably stand to make a lot of money from it. I think that's a major opportunity. The other opportunity, I think, exists for working with U Sport if that's at all possible. And what I mean by that is, the CFL, I think, does have to look at an early end to their season. If they look at the early end to the season, say winding up in the first week of November rather than the third or fourth week of November, that clears a broadcast opportunity and a sponsorship opportunity with U Sports in terms of conference finals, in terms of national semifinals, and in terms of the Vanier Cup. It extends that sponsorship and inventory opportunity an extra month for the league and its partners, and it builds into the grassroots. So I think that's another opportunity that exists. And if they really dive into it, there's a lot of reach into potential expansion sites through that, whether it's Quebec City, whether it's the Atlantic provinces, whether it's Kitchener, Waterloo, or even Windsor. Those places have all been mentioned as potential expansion sites, and those are all areas where U Sports football certainly has a presence.
We mentioned U Sports football. You also mentioned Quebec City. And I think as we look at the Final Four, the UTEC and the Mitchell Bowl, probably good news for Regina. They don't have to travel and be in front of 20, 25, maybe 30,000 fans in Quebec City. They're going to play the Mitchell Bowl at home. But the bad news, you still got to play the Laval Rouge et Or. Let's look at these final two semis and what do you see?
Well, quickly on the first one, which is the UTEC Bowl, it's Laurier, and it's Laurier by a lot. We had discussed the potential of the Bishops Gators going 8-0 in the AUS this year, making it to 3 previous Loney Bowls and not making it through to a national semifinal. They've got a great defense. They've got sputtering to non-existent offense. That's a game where Laurier will probably get into the high 30s and then take their foot off the gas. Taylor Elgersma, the quarterback at Laurier, he's a guy that I think CFL fans will want to watch. He does have potential to play in the CFL. He will need some development in terms of a physical type. He reminds me of Michael O'Connor. He's 6'5", same sort of size, same sort of frame. Same kind of mobility, but probably mentally tougher and physically tougher. Michael O'Connor had a much better delivery on his football and better placement on his football than Elgersma does. But Elgersma has the potential, especially after attending a couple of CFL camps through the apprenticeship program. As for the Laval-Regina game, I think one of the good things business-wise for this is that you've got the next 2 hosts of Vanier Cups playing against each other in a national semifinal. So that's a bonus, I think, for the organizers in Regina. I was involved in the selection of Regina and Laval for these Vanier Cups. I really like what Regina had on paper. And hopefully this is a bit of a trial run and people show up in Regina to this game. I would like to see 5 figures for this game. I know how the Rams have struggled at times in that large stadium for regular season games, but if there's ever a time for a revival of those numbers back to the 10,000s of days of yore back in the 1980s, this would be the time to do it. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be an entertaining game. I think Regina brings the best defense in Canada West. I think Laval proved against Montreal, especially with a quarterback that was a little shaky in Arnaud Desjardins in terms of his health, that you've got 2 teams that are set to engage in another rock fight here. I'm picking Laval about 23-9 in this game. I just do not expect a whole lot of defense, but hey guys, prove me wrong.
Well, the Rams have one of the best defenses in the country. And if they get to 5 figures, I think that would be the first time since you and I were there, 2016, the soft open of Mosaic, right? I think they got up to 16,000 for the Huskies and Rams on the first game in that stadium, and you and I were part of the broadcast. Good memories, man, Jim.
And Rod was a part of that broadcast, too, I remember, too. He was the host
Rod
of that.
was a part of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Those are great memories. Well, enjoy Grey Cup week. Stay dry. I don't know what happened, but the storm kind of had a little peak there. We saw it in the window. You kind of just went black like the window did.
Oh, there's the sun. The sun is coming
There you
out.
go.
There's a little donut hole. There's going to be a rainbow here. It's going to be rainbows and unicorns, Scoops.
We're going to get you on that. You know, if you see Rod, get him on the zip line and make sure you get a video. Enjoy tonight and say hi to everybody for me.
Okay, I will later.
All right. Jim Mullen joining us, TSN's Crown Gridiron Nation, the episode on tonight. I was going to get into the NCAA stuff. We didn't have time for that. And to be honest, watch the show. It's on TSN now and on YouTube, TSN Gridiron Nation. They'll get you covered on all things Canadian football, north and south of the border. You're going to want to watch it. Let's take a break, come back, and we're going to have some fun with ChatGPT on the other side, okay, and answer the poll question and all of your CFL Grey Cup questions. It is the RP Show, and you're watching on this Grey Cup Wednesday on the Game Plus Television Network.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men Without Hats. And Spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Welcome back to the RP Show. Did you say welcome back? Go ahead, Rod.
How about that?
Clark was in my ear. I think he was bugging me. Rod is on a plane, and he should be touching down. Let me look at the clock. It is what time? 1, 12, 11. It's like 10:22. About 4 hours from now, he should be touching down in Vancouver. And then it's on. So follow our social media feeds. Follow Rod's personal social media feed for Grey Cup. 100% of it will be Grey Cup. And then tomorrow's show, Friday's show, will be all Grey Cup, no doubt. I think everybody's fighting in the YouTube comments. We don't need any of that. But you know what? Have fun. Could a SFU announcement be coming this week? Be a great time to announce it during Grey Cup week. I don't think we're going to see anything on the SFU football program for a while, but who knows? Maybe. I think that's going to take a little bit more time. But we saw Mark Dolman speaking about this. They're all still working on seeing if we can save the SFU football program. Chris writes in from Heidelberg, Ontario, says, great segment. Love seeing you sports get some screen time. Thank you, Chris, for that. Bob writes in from Saskatoon. Bob, you got a little something in your coffee this morning? Rod Black would be a great CFL commissioner. No, Rod's great. Rod would be an awesome commissioner. I don't know if that's even on the table, but Jim Mullen talked about it, had some great great suggestions. If you missed the conversation with Jim Mullen, you can rewind and watch it. That's the text line for Alatura, 902-518-3033. Every bullpen needs a lights-out closer, and your skincare routine needs 3 quick outs against wrinkles, scars, and age spots. We're calling in Alatura's Gold Serum every time. Alatura.com. Use the code RP20 for 20% off your order. But I want to get to this today. This is going to be fun. The poll questions brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Go to emjmarketing.com. Poll question today is, who will win the CFL Coach of the Year? Jason Moss of the Montreal Alouettes is the representative out of the East. And Corey Mace of the Saskatchewan Roughriders is your Western nominee. And for the answer, we are going to Chat GPT, okay? Who will win the CFL Coach of the Year? And here's what we got. The finalists for the 2024 CFL Coach of the Year award are Jason Moss of the Montreal Alouettes and Corey Mace of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Both coaches have led their teams through impressive seasons, bringing significant wins and establishing competitive edges. Okay, that's pretty standard stuff. Jason Moss has successfully guided the Alouettes to one of their best recent performances, particularly within a strong Eastern division. Meanwhile, Corey Mace took the Saskatchewan Roughriders to new heights, enhancing team performance and overcoming various challenges throughout the season. Okay. The winner will be announced during the Grey Cup Festival, held on November 14th. Both coaches have strong cases, so it should be a close race. Well, that didn't answer the question. So I said a little more clearly, who should win? And here is what we get. Corey Mace of the Saskatchewan Roughriders has a strong case to win Coach of the Year, given his team's remarkable improvement and resilience this season. Now we're getting somewhere. Despite being the underdog in a competitive Western division, Mace helped the Roughriders secure a playoff spot and elevate their performance, especially on the defensive end. His leadership brought stability to a team that faced considerable roster and injury challenges, showcasing his adaptability and impact. Jason Moss, head coach of the Alouettes, also deserves recognition for his impressive run in the East, leading the Alouettes to consistent wins and helping them exceed expectations. His experience and focus have strengthened Montreal's strategic play, making the Alouettes formidable competitors. Both coaches have demonstrated success. Do we have a drum roll? Do we have anything to build some excitement for this? Probably not, but maybe a sound effect after. Both coaches have demonstrated success, but Mace's ability to push through tougher odds in a stacked division might give him the edge as a standout choice for the award this season. Hit it. Something? Anything.
How about that?
Some sort of a sound effect. Okay. Well, that was a letdown. It's all good. Corey Mace. ChatGPT says Corey Mace should win Canadian Football League Coach of the Year. Okay? Corey Mace. How about that?
Uncle?
We'll find out tomorrow night when the awards are announced. Thursday night in Vancouver, the CFL awards will take place. Rod's going to be all over it. Should be a fun weekend. Zach checks in, says, good morning, Darren. Checking in from Calgary. Happy Wednesday. My Coach of the Year vote goes to Corey Mace. Brought this team back from last place, in his opinion. So that's interesting. And ChatGPT agrees with you, which is also fun. One more quickly on the ChatGPT train, because we didn't get much out of ChatGPT, but I'm going to ask again about the MOP award. You know, it is going to be interesting to see if Bo Levi can garner enough votes to win this award after his great season. When we look at Brady Oliveira on the other side and Bo on this side, look, the 2024 most outstanding player race is expected to come down. Well, it's coming down to Brady Oliveira and Bo Levi. Both had strong seasons. Oliveira led the CFL with 1,350 rushing yards. He topped the league in yards from scrimmage for a second straight year. He's carried the Bombers' offense. He's been outstanding. Meanwhile, Bo set a Hamilton franchise record, over 5,400 passing yards, 32 touchdown passes, 400 plus yards, multiple occasions. Very impressive stats. But very wise ChatGPT saying that typically the award goes to a team that has been successful, a playoff team. So I said, who should win? Brady Oliveira should win the 2024 CFL Most Outstanding Player Award based on his impressive and consistent performance this season, leading the CFL in rushing yards, highest yards from scrimmage, contributing to Winnipeg's success, the top-year team, and being a pivotal part of the Bombers' offense. And really, the only negative they have on Bo is that he wasn't on a successful team. So it's all about what do you think? And history has shown that it's probably going to be Brady Oliveira, the CFL's MOP. Interesting. We're going to see what Darren Bombing thinks in the next segment from Bonfire Sports and get a nice little Grey Cup preview from Darren. That should be fun. And back on that poll question, ChatGPT picking Corey Mace, our viewers picking Corey Mace on Twitter and on YouTube, hovering around 70% of the vote in favor of Corey Mace as the MOP. So that's interesting. I don't know if I want to venture who I think will win. Like, I kind of have a feeling that Corey Mace is going to win the award. I think early in the year, what Jason Moss did with the Owls and that incredible streak they continued on dating back to last season, they did struggle down the stretch a little bit. And Corey Mace, I mean, they struggled not early. They struggled in the middle part of the season, but then they figured it out and got this team back on track and almost ended up with first place in the West. As it was, they ended up with a home playoff game and were able to get past the BC Lions. I'm going to lean and punch Corey Mace as the CFL's Coach of the Year. I am. And while we're at it, I'm going to punch Brady Oliveira as the MOP as well. That's my pick. It could be Bo, but I think it's going to be Brady Oliveira as the most outstanding player in the Canadian Football League. The Alatura text line's open, 902-518-3033 for Alatura. Visit them now at alatura.com. Use the promo code RP20 and get 20% off your order. Questions on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Watching SportsCenter this morning, the big question from the panel was, this is 5 straight trips to the Grey Cup, just the 4th team in CFL history to do this. Are the Winnipeg Blue Bombers a dynasty? Or do they need to win the Grey Cup to be considered a dynasty? If they win the Grey Cup, it will be their 3rd Grey Cup championship in 5 appearances. Nobody on the panel, I believe, outside of Milt, said that this is a dynasty. Davis Sanchez said that they need to win in order for it to be a dynasty. It's a championship dynasty, but just getting to 5 Grey Cups doesn't make them a dynasty. Matt Dunnigan talked about that as well, but it was Milt that said, look, only 4 teams have ever done this. This is a dynasty. And they looked at the Buffalo Bills when they went to the 4 Super Bowls, but didn't win. Are they a dynasty? I don't think we look at them as a dynasty unless you win. I think we look at the New England Patriots. They won Super Bowls. We don't talk about how many Super Bowls the Patriots got to. We never hear about how many Super Bowls Tom Brady made it to. We only talk about the 7 rings, right? It's all about wins. I do not believe that a dynasty is formed just based on getting to the game. I think you look down, I think you can look at Winnipeg and this run they've been on as an all-time run, sure. And that might sound to you like a dynasty, and really what's the difference? But to be considered a dynasty, you have to win championships. They've won 2. 2 out of 5? Does that make you a dynasty? Maybe. It's pretty impressive. 3 out of 5? I think that cements it. I think there's a lot on the line for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers when it comes to this conversation, because similar to the Hall of Fame conversation, when we're talking about the Hall of Fame, and I believe this was Deion Sanders' line, and it's topical because of the NHL Hall of Fame induction ceremony a couple of nights ago. When you look at, Deion says, look, if we have to debate whether a team's a Hall of Fame or whether a player's a Hall of Fame player or not, then they're not a Hall of Famer. That's Deion's line. It should be a slam dunk. The Hall of Fame is special. It should be no question. And now it's the age of the internet. There's always going to be a question, okay? Always. But it should be pretty much a majority slam dunk. Like not 50-50, 51% you get in. It should be 80+% of people that believe you're a Hall of Famer. And I think it's the same with a dynasty. I think 3 out of 5, this cements it. This ends the question. Winnipeg's a dynasty. Like end of story. There are no questions about whether they're a dynasty or not if they win on Sunday. If they don't, then we can have the debate. And which side you're on, it's still a debate. I'm going to ask Darren Bombing about this. We're going to get the scene set from the Winnipeg side on Grey Cup and what's going on. Find out if he's jumped on the zip line yet, if he's out there in Vancouver. Awesome week. It sucks not to be in Vancouver. The media event is tonight. We hang out with all of our colleagues and really have a great time. I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss the awards tomorrow, everything leading up to the game. But it's fine. We'll be in Winnipeg next year, and that will be a lot of fun. Darren Bombing coming up next on the other side here on the RP Show. Grey Cup week, Wednesday, continues. And you're watching live on the Game Plus television network.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 9 3033. 902 518 3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Soup in the break. I can't sit still in the commercial break. Can't. For 4 minutes, it's just impossible. I got a little soup going in the cafeteria over there, aka the kitchen. And away we go. Welcome back to the show. 902-518-3033. The Alatura Skin Line text line is open. The Skin Line text line, alatura.com. Use the promo code RP Show. Get 20% off your order. Darren Bombing is roaming around downtown Vancouver this morning. And the second we can connect with DB, we're going to bring him on the program this morning. So just putting the APB out for Darren Bombing, and then he'll join us here in a moment from Bonfire Sports. We'll talk about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers side of this. But in the meantime, let's roll with the NFL Top 5 this week, coming out on a Wednesday. If you were reading my article this morning at rodpedersen.com, you already know this. But here we go. And this is with honorable mention to teams that include the LA Chargers, who are not in the top 5 this week, but they are climbing fast. The Baltimore Ravens, not in my top 5. They are in others, though, like Colin Cowherd's top 5. He's in Stephen A. Smith's top 5. The Baltimore Ravens today are not in my top 5 because here's who is. At number 5, the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 5-0 since their bye week. They have one of the most talented rosters. They have playmakers everywhere, and Saquon Barkley's doing his thing. They're getting healthy. I have Philadelphia at number 5. My biggest shock of the whole thing is I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 4. Largely because, well, they've won 4 in a row. Their defense is great. It's the number 2 scoring defense in the NFL. And now they've got an offense that can actually be competent. And Russell Wilson, along with their receiving core, they've got the deep ball back. They can throw the deep ball, included, to go along with a solid run game. This great defense. I have Pittsburgh at number 4. Number 3, the Buffalo Bills. They're a little banged up right now, including Amari Cooper, their new receiver. And they play Kansas City this week. That's going to determine a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun. They can move up really quickly and make a statement if they can beat the Chiefs. They win games right now, and they lead the NFL in turnover differential. That's key. Number 2, the Detroit Lions. They come in on a 7-game winning streak. Their defense gets off the field on third down as good or better than anybody in the league. And even when Jared Goff doesn't play well, they still win. Like overcoming games. This is a 4-interception game against Houston, and they found a way to win. That's how good Detroit is. They've got the best offensive coordinator in football. They've got the grittiest, most, run through a wall for your head coach guy in Dan Campbell. Detroit's number 2, but Kansas City's number 1. They continue to win football games, and some would say they got fortunate to block the field goal against Denver. Maybe, but Dan Orlovsky did a great job breaking this down, that they had been setting that up all game and eventually broke through. It was not a fluke. This team is well coached. This team is making plays. This team fills holes. This team overcomes injuries, and they win. Going back to last year, Kansas City has won 15 straight games, and they're the number 1 team in the National Football League. So Kansas City 1, Detroit 2, Buffalo 3, Pittsburgh 4, Philadelphia 5. Those are my top 5 teams in the National Football League. Argue if you will, and let me know what you think. Okay. Darren Bombing is just logging in. Let's wait for him. If he's in right away. Yeah, let's wait for him, and we'll bring him in here in a minute. We'll get to Darren Bombing here in a second. He is in Vancouver. Load up your questions if you have them. Alatura text line 902-518-3033. Okay, let's bring in Darren Bombing and find out where he is on the streets of Vancouver, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. So set the scene. We were talking to Jim Mullen last hour, and it was storming out on the island. What's the scene on the mainland?
Yeah, it's dreary. It's drizzly, but honestly, it's been great weather for the entire Grey Cup playoffs, right? In Montreal, in Toronto, or in Winnipeg. It's been great the whole way. Just wrapped up Media Day actually here at the Vancouver Convention Center on the beautiful short harborfront, and yeah, got a chance to talk to Nick Arbuckle and the uniqueness that's going into his start at quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts, and yeah, looking forward to taking in Blue Bombers practice in a few minutes. Head over to BC Place, but there's been a lot of storylines as you have been talking about, and Darren. This is a fun Grey Cup so far. Early in the week, but it's fun already.
Nick Arbuckle, that is the storyline for sure, the biggest one, and he's had some history beating the Bombers too. So there is some precedent here for Nick Arbuckle and the Argos.
Yeah, the Argos have had a lot of success against the Blue Bombers this season, right? We all know about Winnipeg's rough start to the year, being 0-4 and 2-6 before rifling off 8 straight wins. But the Argos are the only team Winnipeg has not beaten this season. That 8-game win streak ended with, it was a close loss, but a tough loss. I should say a decisive loss, a decisive win for the Argos in Week 19. If it's scheme, if it's, matchup, if it's the players, it could be a variety of things. But I do know this. With Winnipeg being in their 5th straight Grey Cup, winning the first 2, losing their next 2, and that first of those 2 losses to the Toronto Argonauts in Regina, I think you can, it's like fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, or pardon me, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. See, I sound like George Bush getting that one mixed up, right? But I don't think Winnipeg is going to approach it in, we're not going to let them get us this time. I think they know that the importance is staying truly focused. And, I've talked a lot over the last couple years really about head coach Mike O'Shea and that mentality that he has just hammered into the fabric of this Blue Bombers organization, top to bottom, football personnel people, non-football operations people as well. They're going to prepare, and I don't know if the Argos are to counter that. I don't know if the Argos deserve to be as heavy the underdogs that they are. I think Vegas is just trying to get people to put some money on Toronto.
I know that line was up to 10.5 at one point. Wild stuff. Where do you sit on the Bombers and the dynasty talk? It was a heavy conversation on TSN Sports Center this morning and last night.
Sure.
Some saying they got to win a third one to be considered a dynasty. Where are you on the dynasty talk?
Absolutely. I think you win 2 Grey Cups. You win 2 Grey Cups. You have to get that third to, we call it the D word in Winnipeg because people don't want to say it until it happens. But in that third Grey Cup in 2022 that they lost to the Argos, it was, wow, 3 straight. That's definitely a dynasty, and it didn't happen. And then, well, okay, if you can win 3 in 4, that's definitely a dynasty, and it didn't happen. But if you can win 3 and be in 5 straight championship games, the fact that you've been in 5 straight championship games, some people think that this is already a dynasty. It's definitely a golden era of Blue Bombers football, similar to the late 50s and early 60s, where they won, I think it was 5 Grey Cups in a stretch of, or 4 Grey Cup wins in a stretch of 6 appearances. 1984, 88, and 1990 with my broadcast partner, the legendary Chris Walby, come away with those rings. Probably should have had a few more, or a couple more at least, championships in that run. 1983 maybe most notably. But this Blue Bombers team with Zach Collaros at quarterback, Mike O'Shea at head coach, Kyle Walters doing exemplary work as GM and his scouting staff, Ted Gavaya, Danny McManus, the assistant general managers, not just finding new talent every year, because they find new guys every year. Ontario Wilson, 1,000-yard receiver, unearthing Evan Holm and Dietrich Nichols and finding these starters every single year. But it's also being able to retain that group and making it all work under the salary cap. And, they don't break. If they have broken it, last year, I think they were over $20,000, which, I think half the league was over it some amount. It's been very, very impressive work. But yeah, I'm with you. I think you need to win that third. Combine that with 5 straight Grey Cup appearances, that would be a dynasty. I think I'd have to do more thinking on it if they lose a third straight and only have 2 rings in 5 games to show for it.
Before we let you go, and I know you'll get going to practice and all the rest, tell me about Ted Wyman and the legend there.
Yeah, Ted, dear friend of mine, of so many in Winnipeg and Manitoba, born in Brandon, Westman guy, has connections in Saskatchewan as well. It is wild how, the courageous battle he had went the way it did. He was so hopeful. We were all so hopeful when, the diagnosis came about in the spring, and it just seemed like he had no fortune in every step of the way through the season. It was even a week ago where, his colleague and good friend of ours, Paul Friesen of the Winnipeg Sun, like a week ago, we went and saw Ted, and Ted's still talking about when he's coming back, not if, when he's coming back. And then pretty quickly, things turned on him, but he passed away Saturday morning. And it's almost like he was shining down on his hometown Winnipeg, because it was a truly super sports Saturday in Winnipeg. You had the Jets capture their NHL record-breaking 14th win in their 15th game of the season. And then later that night, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers winning the West Final in very convincing fashion, getting to a 5th straight Grey Cup game. The outpouring of love for him, so deserved. I know people who were closer to Ted than I was, but, I spent a lot of time with him at work, at play, and then to be at a Grey Cup where he really embodied who he was at Grey Cup week, working hard, playing harder, and just being in the fabric of Canadian sports. We're honoring Ted with this patch. I actually, the morning he passed away, I designed that up quickly. I thought that was a little bit more Ted style than just like a traditional TW block letters, you know, that you'll see initials honored, you know, for fallen friends. But yeah, you know, he's the topic of conversation in such a respectful and heartfelt way. Every corner you turn here in the Grey Cup City just shows the type of person he was and the impact that he made. 30 years as a, you know, sports reporter and editor of the Winnipeg Sun.
Wonderful thoughts. Great tribute. The sticker, well done. We saw everybody's wearing them. Even Dinwiddie was wearing it on the Argos shirt. So that just tells you just the level of impact and what this means. And Grey Cup's such a tight community. I know tonight this is the one thing that I'm most sad to miss is the media event tonight, and I know that'll be a big part of it too. So enjoy it. Say hi to everybody for me, and I know with a heavy heart, enjoy Grey Cup week as best you can.
Appreciate you, Moose. Thank you, and thanks for letting me share about Ted. Yeah, everybody loves him, so thank you.
Awesome, Darren Bonfire week, my friend. Back to wrap things up here on a Grey Cup week Wednesday. RP show continues on the Game Plus television network.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Overtime for Overtime Hockey Lanes. Looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot? Look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. State-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment, the ultimate training destination, players of all ages and skill levels. OvertimeHL.ca. We'll take one look here into the text line and one last chance. You can dump some texts in. Rod is going to be making his way to Grey Cup. He's going to be landing in the next few hours, 2 to 3 hours. Bill writes in Ontario, says, "You're missing the Grey Cup, Darren. I hope you got Leafs tickets for Saturday. Oilers in town." Feel free to shower me with your Leafs Oilers tickets, but no, I got 3 hockey games and 3 nights to call this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Be busy in the Ontario Hockey League. So that's where I will be over the weekend. Unfortunately, not at Grey Cup. Really missing it. Wish I was there, no doubt. Poll question is for EMJ Marketing. Who will win CFL Coach of the Year, Jason Moss or Corey Mace? Corey Mace was running away with it early, 70% of the vote. You still have some time to get your vote in as well on that one. Going back to hour one, big thanks to Jack Moore for joining us. Great look at the OHL. Great look at the OHL, but great look at the U Sports Final Four as well. And thanks to Sean Reynolds of Sportsnet, recapping what's gone on with the Winnipeg Jets. 15 wins now, and 7 on the road, trying to get to 11 road wins to set the record there. But they got a tough weekend ahead, no doubt. They got to go to Tampa tomorrow. They got to go to Florida on Saturday. Then they're home to Florida next week, I think on Tuesday. And then they go back out on the road to Pittsburgh and Nashville next weekend. So some stuff there for the Winnipeg Jets. Wednesday of Grey Cup week. The media event is tonight. The awards are tomorrow. Rod's going to be back in here tomorrow and live from Grey Cup. It's going to be fun. He'll be here for the next 2 days, live from Grey Cup with live guests and all the rest. So you won't hear from me until Monday on the program, but that's fine. I'll be back Monday. Should be fun then. Until then, again, thanks to Jack Moore, Sean Reynolds in hour one. Thanks to Jim Mullen joining us from TSN's Crown Gridiron Nation in hour 2 here. Darren Bombing from Bonfire Sports live from Vancouver earlier this hour. Big thanks to both of those guys, and a big thanks to you, everybody, for joining us. So Bomber Boy, Jeff, Aaron, Bill, everybody who's watching. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow on the RP Show with Rod. Back in the big chair here on the Game Plus Television Network.
McFly, hello.